We're back! Welcome to the first episode in a long time of the Joyful Vampire Tour of America series. The tour is obviously long over. We've had a pandemic. But here in the world of Bite Me, we have an update, and actually a really big update and some very exciting news. So, before I give you that update, I'm going to bring you up to speed on what has happened since August of 2019, other than a global pandemic. Um, so, for those of you who watched the end of the series, you will know that the series ended on a very positive note in terms of the tour, and a very catastrophic note in terms of the TVOD sales. And as we learned since then, we were not the only ones having a catastrophic TVOD sales number that summer, because TVOD disappeared. For those of you who need a refresher, TVOD refers to anything where an audience is paying either $2.99-ish to rent a movie or $9.99-ish to purchase a movie digitally, as in opposition to anything that's an SVOD, a subscription video on demand service, which is like Netflix or anything where you're paying just a membership fee to get unlimited content, right? So TVOD is anything you're paying directly for one movie. So it turns out that summer, the shit hit the fan for TVOD, because there was some kind of like psychological audience shift where people stopped being willing to pay for individual movies, because Netflix and the other streamers had trained people at that point that what they should expect is unlimited great content for free. Which is a fundamentally unsustainable business model, but we'll talk about that later. That's Netflix's problem, not mine. But our problem is that means that audiences won't even take out their wallets and pay even $2.99 anymore to rent a movie, because they feel like they're already paying for so many subscription services. Now, that was bad in the summer of 2019, and I've since had it confirmed from a sales agent that TVOD sales dropped 50% year over year for 2 years around that time. So that market went away, which is a bit of a catastrophe for independent film, because we rely on what I call democratic forms of revenue, right? So forms of revenue like movie ticket sales or t-shirts or DVDs or digital sales, where the number of people who buy your movie or buy the thing directly relates to how much money you make off that, right? Which is very different than Netflix, where Netflix says, okay, filmmaker, if we want your movie at all, we'll pay you $10,000 for 2 years to license that movie. And that's a real number I've heard. $10,000 for 2 years to license all worldwide rights to your movie. And now you can say yes as a filmmaker, you can say no, but they're Netflix, so you can't probably negotiate. So let's say you say yes, so you get your $10,000, which is horrifying given how much it cost you to make your movie, probably. And then that movie could find an audience. It could become the biggest thing that Netflix has ever had on their platform. And not only will you not get paid any more than $10,000, but they won't even tell you that because they hide all of their data. So you won't know how many people watched your movie. So in 2 more years, Netflix is going to come back to you and say, we would like to license your movie again for 2 years for $10,000. And you can say yes, you can say no, but you have no leverage and no information. Not great for filmmakers. So the TVOD collapse is a problem. But here we were in the fall of 2019, and we needed to figure out what to do, because we certainly had not come close to making back what the movie cost us to make. So we saw 2 avenues. The first being international sales, where the guy in Ukraine says, okay, I'll pay you $5,000 for the rights to distribute your film in Ukraine. Some countries it's a little more, some countries it's a little less, but let's say it's that. You're not going to get rich that way on a film of this size, but you can at least cobble together some profits. That market is also not vanishing for anybody who doesn't have an A-list cast, but seemed possible. And then the second avenue was to try to find a distributor to partner with to do a digital re-release. So because the TVOD sales were doing so poorly, we pulled it off the platforms so that we would have the possibility of a re-release. To do both of those things, I'm going to talk in a second about why a distributor matters with digital platforms. But in the meantime, we decided we needed a sales agent to, because you can do international sales by yourself, but not really. So we needed a sales agent. We ended up finding one who we really liked, really trusted, seemed really great. Filmmakers we talked to that she'd worked with before loved her. We were really excited. She said we needed a new poster. We got a new poster. It was all teed up to go out to buyers at Berlin in March of 2020. And we all know what happened in March of 2020. COVID happened. So Berlin got canceled. People couldn't go in person. And that seems to have been our sales agent's main tactic, is going to film markets and selling films in person. So that couldn't happen. And she tried, as far as we know, over the next months. Of course, none of the film markets happened that year. She managed to sell Benelux, which is Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands, for $2,500. But other than that, not really anything. So that was very disappointing. And again, I mean, I don't know. I think she was trying. It was a global pandemic. The markets also froze because everyone kept saying there was going to be a content shortage and that therefore it would help indie film, and actually that wasn't what happened, because there was enough backlogged content that they had enough, but instead what happened was that people like kind of panicked and like weren't buying really, and it was like a whole thing. Okay, so about a year goes by. She's trying, nothing is happening. So at a certain point, we decide that trying the same thing over and over and over again with and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. So we decided it was time for a new sales agent. She was clearly flagging, given how little success she'd had with it, and we needed some new energy. We needed to try something else. So very happily, our executive producer Joanne Zippel had met this woman, Martine Melul, from Cali Pictures. She's primarily an indie film producer herself, but she is frustrated enough with how the distribution game works for filmmakers that she had started making, basically acting as a sales agent for her own films, and then decided, okay, well, I could do this for some other films that I really believe in to help other indie film producers out. So she came on as our new sales agent. She actually managed to get us 2 distribution offers. And we ended up taking the one with a company called Under the Milky Way. And they've been around about 10 years. Their strategy is basically B2B marketing on digital platforms. What does that mean? It means instead of them marketing to audiences to buy the film, they market to the platforms to give you the right placement on the platforms, like iTunes, Amazon, these things, and then later their SVOD channels to get people to watch your film that way. Here's why this matters. Because, as we've all discovered, if you look at the general population, the percentage of people who will still rent or buy a movie on TVOD is very, very small. Very small. However, there are still people who are doing it. So those people go to iTunes or whatever, Apple TV now, and they say, I would like to buy a movie. Let me investigate their offerings to see which movie I would like to buy. So of that population who are going to iTunes already, or Apple TV, 100% of them want to buy or rent a movie. So in terms of marketing, who do you want to reach? The giant population of which where you're trying to find a needle in a haystack, or are you trying to convince the people who already want to rent or buy a movie to buy your movie, which is a much easier sell? So how does that happen? Well, it happens because iTunes has your poster in one of its top 10 film releases that week. It happens, these things. So that's why the B2B marketing does actually really matter. It's why self-distribution on these platforms is not super viable unless you have those relationships ahead of time, because the difference between getting your film placed on one of those slots or not is basically everything. It's like exponential. Now, that doesn't mean that B2C marketing, which is marketing to audience, doesn't matter. It does matter, but one without the other doesn't work. So, Under the Milky Way is great because they are very transparent. They're very honest about the state of things. They're not trying to tell you like, yeah, we're gonna do all these things or whatever. They're like, here's the situation. We're only marketing to the platforms. You can like, we can give you advice on how to do the B2C marketing for yourselves if you want. This is what we found worked, and they do this globally, internationally. So it's they have people in all different countries. So that is what we decided to do. And also their percentage is relatively small because it reflects the fact that they're not claiming to do marketing. Whereas we find with most distribution companies, they take these bigger percentages under the guise that they're kind of doing marketing, but then they don't really. So we really liked Under the Milky Way's honesty. We really liked their transparency. Oh, the other really big thing, which if you watch the series, you'll know why this is such a big deal. They have a portal, a web portal, where any day you can go on there, the filmmaker can log on and see exactly how many units have sold, accurate up to the couple of days. Which, if you remember from the series, we had to wait 3 months to find out our numbers. So that is also huge, because that means that we can actually try things. We can test marketing theories, right? We can try things. We can test one thing, wait for a week, go online, see if it worked. If it did, do more of that thing. If it didn't, try something else. So that's huge. So we signed with them, and Bite Me is getting an international re-release digitally, February 8th in the United States and February 15th everywhere else in the world. So exciting. So hence being here, because remember what I said about it's really, really, really important to get on those banners like the week you come out to be advertised by Apple and like these different places. And so in addition to Under the Milky Way having these relationships and pitching us for those slots, the other thing that really makes a difference is pre-sales. Because if you demonstrate through pre-sales that your film is doing well, they're more likely to help your film to continue doing well by giving it one of those placements. So we need to get 400 pre-orders by February 8th. And we're halfway there as of today, which is super exciting. But if you are watching this video, please, please go to the links in the description of this video, and please, for the love of God, pre-order this movie on either iTunes or Apple TV now. Pause the video. Go do that. Because if we hit 400 pre-orders, our chances of getting one of those coveted slots goes through the roof. So basically our entire strategy right now is how do we get 400 people to buy this movie before February 8th. To do that, we are not super relying on we're basically relying on people we know and the fan base that already exists for this film. In later experiments, we're going to try other people, but for right now, it's like, who is the easiest pathway to get us to 400, and everything is focused on that. And we'll see, but I think this is a key strategy for digital releases that we certainly didn't know, and I think a lot of filmmakers miss. Like, pre-orders are actually the most important thing as you're marketing a digital release. Okay, so now that you've paused the video and pre-ordered, right? Here's the other piece of really big news. Because we're doing this, we're going to restart the Joyful Vampire Tour of America series. Obviously, it's still a pandemic, so it's going to be from my office. And the videos are not going to be as fun or cool or fancy as when Kiwi Callahan was making them. However, starting mid to late February, I am going to start doing videos. So again, on a probably a bi-weekly basis, because again, we can actually test in real time marketing tactics for how to get people to buy or rent your movie on these platforms. So I'm going to be interviewing filmmakers and distributors and marketing people and everything to get ideas from them, things that they've tried, things that they think have worked. So we'll be releasing those interviews for you. And then we will also, once again, be fully transparent with the results. So we're going to try something, we'll tell you what happens. And together, I'm going to do this for at least the next 6 months as we cycle through not only TVOD, the TVOD release, but also then into this. From there, we'll probably move into like smaller subscription streaming platforms, maybe AVOD, these advertising, video on demand, these things. So follow with me, and together we will see if we can maybe figure out how you actually can sell your movie online, if that's still possible, which we will find out. So I hope you'll join us for that journey, and I really hope you'll pre-order the film if you haven't already. Thank you, and that is our update.